Hello everyone. Welcome back to Ivy's YouTube channel. We are here with another YouTube video on data cleaning using Excel. Let's get started. We'll start with data preparation. Data preparation is the process of transforming raw data to analytics ready data. To transform this data into analytics ready data, we require filtering, cleaning, transformation, etc. Let's see how these topics work. Filtering. Say we have a raw data and there are many countries in these data. We only want the data of a country, say China. So we'll filter out all the other countries and keep the country China in the data set. The next topic is cleaning. Say we have a data of missing records. As you can see, in these records, there are missing values. Cleaning will help us delete these records and have a complete data. The third thing that we can have is transformation. Say we have a student data with their date of birth and we want to find the age of all the students. We'll create a new column age using the Excel formulas, and this is how we can transform the data. Now, a question that arises in everyone's mind is what exactly is data cleaning? Say we have a data which is very inconsistent. So the process of finding and dealing with those problematic data points within a data set is called data cleaning. It involves fixing or removing incomplete data. It also helps in cross-checking data against a validated data set and helps in standardizing inconsistent data to a consistent one. Now, why is data cleaning important? It helps us to ensure that data is complete and correct. It helps us to avoid wrong insights. That is, it results in very insightful data. It is easier to read and interpret, and consistency is the key. There are several problems with data sets that we can do using the data cleaning.
Next, we will learn how to deal with empty rows. The problem statement is that it breaks information into multiple tables instead of a single table, and there shouldn't be any empty rows in the table. We will look into a data set of empty records. So this is a data set which has empty records at rows 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18. Now, how to deal with such data? What we'll do next is we will select the entire table. We'll apply filter. We'll search for blank rows. While searching, in the search bar, we'll find that there is an option of blanks. We'll select blanks, click OK, and we'll find that these blue records are the empty records. We'll select all of them, right-click, go to Delete Row, and then find the records are deleted. We remove filter, and then we can see that now our data set is complete. So the treatment is select the entire column and then filter. Filter for empty cell in any column. Delete the row which appear after filtering. Next, we will learn
duplicate data. Data may have duplicate rows, which means that the entire record is same. Let's have a look at the data and see. We see that there are numerous duplicate records. Now, we want a treatment for such kind of a data. The treatment is, the first treatment that we have is remove duplicate. So we go back to the data set, we select the data. In our data tab, we have an icon named remove duplicate. As soon as we click on it, we'll see that it will ask for all the columns to be removed for duplicate. We click on all and click OK, and see that 7 duplicate values found and removed and 17 unique values remain. This was the first method. Now, in our data, suppose if we want to find that how many records are actually duplicate. So the second option, second way, will be highlight using conditional formatting. We select the data, go to the Home tab. In conditional formatting, we'll go highlight cells using duplicate values. So we can see that these are the records that have been highlighted because they have duplicates. Now, there's also a method of removing duplicate records, or rather we could say finding unique records only. The method is filter data using advanced filtering. So in the data tab, we'll go to the advanced filtering option over here. Say we want to find only unique records and copy it to some other location. So we'll select to copy to another location. In the copy to range, we'll select a cell anywhere in the sheet. Say we want to select at N1. We click on unique records only. We click OK and find here that this place has only unique records. All the duplicate records have been deleted. So these are the three ways of treatment of duplicate records.
Next, we will learn
data types and data consistency. Data type of column should be identified based on the field name. For example, order date should be in date format, sales in numerical format, and customer ID in text format. Some columns may have inconsistent data type. For example, date column may have values showing as dates as well as text. Number column may have values showing as numbers as well as text. In these scenarios, let's see how data cleaning will help us to clean the data. So the first treatment is going to be find and replace. Let's have a look at a data set which has these kind of scenarios where we can use the find and replace function. Say, in this data set, we have a subcategory which has a number of names. Here we can see the name paper has been misspelled as pauper many times. So, to deal with such kind of data, what we use is find and replace command. So we select the column, click on Control H, and we write that we want to change or replace pauper to paper. We click on replace all and it shows that 676 replacements were made. So that's how find and replace function will help us in treatment of such kind of data types. The next thing is text to column. Now, say we have a data set of different cuisines and we want all these cuisines to be separately shown in each column. To do that, we use the text to column. How to do that? We select the column, go to the data tab, and we have an option of text to columns. We click on it, and as soon as we click on it, we'll see that convert to text to column wizard appears. So we'll choose the file of delimited, and this is a preview of the selected data. We click on next, and for converting text to the column wizard, we'll click on the comma, click on next, finish. And now we can see that all the cuisines are separately shown in each column. So that's how text to column works. Now, the third treatment in data cleaning is convert data types of the values. Now say that we have a customer ID column. The customer ID column is in number format, but we don't want any aggregation to take place in the customer ID. So what we want is to change the format from number to text. Now how to do that? We select the entire column. We see on this home tab there's a formatting area. We click on the drop down and scroll down and find that there is an option of text. As soon as we click on it, we see that the format has changed to text. Now aggregation is not required in it. So that's how the data cleaning will occur and will perform in the data types and data consistency.
Next, we will learn
How to identify inconsistency. The first way to identify an inconsistent data is manually, but the drawback is that it is time consuming and error prone. The other way is using tools. Let's see how we can identify inconsistency using tools. The first way is data validation. We'll have to set a criteria for the values and then circle invalid data. So let's look at a data set and see how data validation will work on that. Say we have a HR data and we have a column of salary and we want to find salaries in the range of 5 to 50,000 and discard all other salaries. So we select the column, go to the data tab, and there's an option of data validation. We click on it, and as soon as we click on it, what we'll see is a pop-up of data validation, which has settings and it will allow values. Say we want whole numbers. So the data should be in the range of 5,000 to say 50,000. We click on OK. And the next thing that we are going to see is all the invalid data is going to be circled. So clicking on the data validation, we'll have another option of circle invalid data. We will click on that and see all the data which are not in the range of 5,000 to 50,000 in the column of salary are circled. Now, how to clear these circles is we'll go back to the data validation and in the drop down, we'll see clear validation circles. So it will clear the circles. So this is how data validation will help us to identify inconsistency. The next way is to sort. Now, go back to the data and say we have phone numbers. These phone numbers can have text as well. Now, how to see that? So we have used the filter and we click on the drop down and say we want to sort them according to largest to smallest. So what we'll see is that the text will come before the number. So let me just highlight. So we can see that then the phone number is containing text. So this is the way we can find the inconsistent data from a column. Now, the third way is filter. In filter, what we'll see is the box in the drop down. So for that, let's go to another data having region. We can see there are several regions, but there can be few regions which are having inconsistent data, that is wrong spellings. So what we'll do is we'll deselect all and select only those regions that have incorrect spellings. So we select on EAT and STH, click OK. And here we see that these are the regions with wrong spellings. So what we can do is we can change the spelling and once we remove filter, now we see that the incorrect spellings have been removed. Now we select all, click OK and see a very consistent data. So that's all how we can deal with data inconsistency.
Next, we will learn
Missing data. Missing data. Let's have a look at it. Data has two types of variables, dependent and independent. See, in this case, as we can see in the screen, there's a subject, there is an independent variable for that, and then there is a dependent variable. Say the subject is movie industry. The independent variables are the variables that are not dependent on anyone. So they are genres, cast, production house, movie distribution, and marketing. But what is dependent on all these independent variables is definitely the box office earnings. Say for making cookies, the independent variables are baking time, oven temperature, inclusion of chocolate chips. All these three are not correlated to each other, but they are independent. What is dependent is the thickness and taste of the cookies. The third we can see is plant cultivation. The frequency of watering, exposure to light or sun, and the soil pH level are the independent variable. What is dependent is plant height and yield. So this way, let's have a look at the data and see what we can do with the missing data. It may be missing in either or both type of variables. So how to identify and treat missing values? To identify the missing values, count the total number of values in each column, and then if the number of record is greater than the number of value, then definitely these are the missing values. So let's have a look at the data set. So as we can see in this data set, there is an ID, there are 4 regions, and then there's a delivery column. So how can we find if these data have missing values or not? Firstly, the thing that we are going to see is that in this data, ID plays a very major part. It must definitely have unique values and it must not have any missing values. Otherwise, the row will be completely discarded because there's no point of keeping an empty ID with its region and the delivery data. So I have filtered the data and let's see if it has blank rows. Scrolling down, we can see that there are no blank rows. If a column has blank rows, it appears at the end of the filter. So we go back, we go to the region column and see if there are blanks. So yes, there are blanks. Let's go to region 2. Blanks are there. Region 3, we can see there's a blank. Region 4, yes, blanks are there. And also in the delivery part, there are blanks. So first we'll work on the rows and then we'll go to columns. Since the ID column has all the records, so what we'll do next is we'll use the count a function to calculate the total number of records over here. This will give us the accurate record. It appears that there are 91 records over here. The same can be done for the rest. And we see change in values in the rest of the records. After doing this, what we can do is we can see the percentage difference or the percentage of missing values for each column. For doing that, what we'll do is I'll use a formula which will be 1 minus the number of missing values divided by keeping this fixed. So for all the columns, I'll go back to the Home tab and what we can see here is missing values are 8%, 7, 4, 7%, and 7%. Now, whenever all the records have more than 30% of the missing values, what we do is we discard those records. That is, we delete the rows. But since these are very less percent, what we can do is we can change these things. So now let's have a look at the columns. For doing that and counting the accurate column numbers, I'll use count A on the headers. And I'll do that for the rest, we can see different values. Now, to find the percentage change, what we are going to do is we'll use equal to 1 minus this by keeping this as fixed. I use percentage and see 17. So let's name these things. This column can be named as the missing count. And this can be pasted somewhere else. So what we'll do is and I'll name this column as the total count. After doing that, I'll change my value over here to this, fix it, and for the rest, you're going to do the same. So for calculating missing count, we see the maximum missing count is 33%. Had it been 50% or more, we could have discarded the column. That means we could have deleted the column. So what we have seen is that the treatment can be deletion of rows if there are more than 30% of the records are not there, or 50% in case of columns, because we don't have the data to work on. So we can delete it. And the pro is that it's easy to apply and does not tamper with the data. The con is that it can greatly reduce the size of the data on which we'll work on. So now let's see how to identify and treat the missing values in another way. So let's go back to our data. This is the data, and we have seen that it has too many missing values. So let's see the methods. The methods are mean, median, and mode imputation. So we can calculate mean, median, mode using available value and replace. Mean is commonly known as the average, which means summation of all the variables and dividing it by the total number of variables present. Median is the middle value in the range, and mode is the value which occurs most often in the range. So let's see how it works in case of our data. So the first thing we are going to learn is using mean. In that case, let's go to region 1 and let's see how mean works over here. So I'll select all the cells. There's a gap in selection because there are too many missing values. Okay. Now, I'll press Control G. I'll click on Special and click on Blanks. Click OK and see that these are my blank cells. Now, what to do? What I'll do is I'll simply write equal to average and select the entire column. So I drag down. After dragging down, I've selected all the cells in a single column and click not on enter, but I'll click on Control Enter. What it will do is it will automatically, clicking on average, I'll fix the whole range. And I'll press Control Enter so that all the empty cells get filled in a go. So we will use the mean median mode imputation. For doing that, calculate mean median mode using available value and replace mean, commonly known as the average function that we use. Median is the middle value in the range of the value, and mode is the value which occurs most often in the range. Now let's see how to apply this in our data set. So let's insert a new column over here and say I want to apply mean on this data. So what I'll do is for convenience, I'll just copy this column to this area and show you. So when I select this, I'll fill the mean over here. I'll use Control G, go to Special, go for blanks, and the blanks will appear. Now, I'll use equal to average and select the range from here for just convenience. And fix it. Once I do that, I'll press Control Enter, and after pressing Control Enter, it will automatically fill all the blank cells. As we can see, all these blank cells have been filled with the mean. So this was the way how we can use the mean to fill up and replace the missing data. Now let's take another example and use median. Now I have created a copy column of region 2 over here just beside it. What I'll do is, similarly, in a very similar way as I did in mean, I'll select the whole column, click Control G, go to Special, select the blanks, and now since I'm going to use median, so what I'll use is the median function. So it will be equal to median of this whole column fix it and press Control Enter. So as soon as I press Control Enter, all the blank cells are filled with the median value. So this is how median works. We will use the mode function now. So what I have done is I have created a duplicate column of region 4 over here and named it as filled region 4. We are going to work on this and extract data from this range. So let's start working on this region 4. So I will select the column and what I'll press is Control G, go to Special, click on blanks. My blanks are selected, and for using the mode function, I'll write equal to MODE mode. My range is going to be the original one. I've selected the range, function F4, and Control Enter. So we can see that the mode value has been imputed in all the blank cells. Now these are non-blanks. So this is how we'll use the mode function. Next topic is going to be outliers. Data points that are significantly different from other data points are called outliers. Outliers can skew the interpretation of the data. They can be accurate or inaccurate. Let's have a look at the first method of detecting outliers. The outlier identification one. Here we see there are two types of charts. It's a visualization, which has charts like histogram and scatter chart will help in identification of outliers. Now, we can perform it in a data set. Let's have a look. And here we see in the scatter chart, so this is a very pile up chart, and these areas that are out of the range are known as the outliers. So this is the first way we detect the outliers. Now, if I want to change the chart type to say histogram, so my chart is going to be so this is how we can find outlier in a scatter chart. Same can be done for histogram, as we can see in this chart that an outlier will be placed somewhere very outside the charts. So let's move to outlier identification 2. Outlier identification 2. So there's a very statistical way of identifying the outlier. We need to sort the data, calculate the quartile, and have the formula in this place. And we want the inner and outer fences, which we call lower and upper bound. Lower bound formula is this. This is the upper bound formula. And this is how we can find the outlier. So let's work on the same data set. And this is our data set. And we want Q1. Q1 will be basically, the formula for Q1 will be quartile of this whole range. I fix it. And the first quartile, that is going to be Q1. Same goes for Q3. The range will be same and quartile 3. I want a difference between Q3 and Q1. So which is going to be is equal to Q3 minus Q1. That gives me 23.5. Now the formula for lower bound, or we say the inner fence and outer fence, which is upper bound, is given here respectively for your reference. So let's just write it. So we want the Q1, which is this, minus, in the bracket, I want 1.5 into Q3 minus Q1, which is 23.5, is equal to 19.5. The same thing we want for the upper bound with a different formula. So it's going to be Q3 plus, we have 1.5 into Q3 minus Q1. Get 113.5. Now, we have to check an outlier based on the lower and the upper bound. The formula which we are going to use here is an OR. So if the number is less than the lower bound number and greater than the upper bound number, then it's definitely an outlier. So if the number is less than lower bound number, which we can fix it, and if the number is greater than the upper bound number, which we fix here, then it will be outlier else. So I'll use this formula for the rest. And the areas where we see true are the outliers. So for doing that, I'll go to filter and I'll select only the true values and select all of them. And if I want to delete it, usually we delete it, so we delete these values. We go back and we see our formulas. So we go back to our PowerPoint. The treatment which we have seen now was delete the outlier data and revisit the data point. Our next topic is going to be split and concatenation in the data cleaning series using Excel. Splitting divides the data into separate columns. There are three ways of splitting the data. The first way is text to column, second is text function, and the third way is flash fill. Let's have a look at the data and see how splitting works. Say I have a data where I have order ID, product ID, and quantity. And I want to split the product ID using text to column. I'll go to the data tab, click on text to column, and see there are two options, delimited and fixed width. I want to choose delimited. I'll click on next. I'll go to select the separator. The separator is other because it's not mentioned over here. My separator is a hyphen. I'll click on next. And my destination, say I want my data at F2. And when I fix it, I'll click on finish. As soon as I finish doing that, I see my data has been split into these three columns. And that's how text to column works. Our next way of splitting the data was text functions. So I'm going to work over here only. And to split the data into two parts, I'll use the text function left and right. So for extracting the left part, that is the text part from this data, on this part, I'll use the left function. For extracting the right part, that is the numbers, I'll use the right function. So I'll use is equal to left, and I want to find left of this text. So I'll find the first hyphen, and in that I'm going to find the second one as well. And I'll copy the same, Control C, find the second one, and I'll add 1 to it. And I see I found the text portion. I'm going to autofill. So this is how I found the first split. This is the split one. Finding the second split, I'm going to use the right function. So it is right of product ID. And I'm going to subtract the length of the whole text with the hyphen. Find hyphen B2. Start number is going to be 1 plus 1. And I forgot to use the second find as well, so I'm going to use the second find. There are going to be basically two finds for this, and because I want to use the second hyphen, I close, and that's how we can see I found the second part as well. So this is how we can use text function left and right to find both the point ends of a data. The third way was flash fill. So let me insert one more column over here and see. Say I have filled my data into two parts. First part has been the TEC I have manually entered. Second part also I have manually entered. And when I click on the cell and press Ctrl E, I see the first part is auto-filled. This is called flash fill. I click on the next cell which has numbers and press on Ctrl E and see this is also auto-filled. So this is how we can split the data into three types. Now let's go back and see what concatenation is. The concatenate function is used to join text from different cells into a single cell. The ampersand operator works the same as the concatenate function. So there are two ways of concatenation. First being concatenate function. In some Excel versions we have concat function as well. It is absolutely the same as concatenate function. And the second is using the ampersand operator. We'll work on both and see how we can concatenate using both the functions. So say this is our splitted data and I want to concatenate this. So using the concatenate function, we'll use over here, and let me insert a new column and I'll write equal to concatenate, and I see the formula appears over here. This is my first text, and since there's no separator that we want the original one, so we are not using any separator. I choose the second one as well, and we see I got my original ID back. Autofill, and this is how it works. Now same can be done using ampersand. So I'll write equal to the first part and the ampersand and the second part. I found the same. So these are the two ways of concatenation. Hope this video was helpful to you. Keep tuned to Ivy's YouTube channel for more such videos on data science. Thank you.